Anyway, this weekend we have the return of Teofimo Lopez versus Steve Claggett.
The takeover is back.
And also, we have the return of one of my favorite fighters, and I believe a guy that should be top pound for pound, top three pound for pound. And if he wins Saturday night, absolutely hands down top three. Jesse Bam Rodriguez against Juan Francisco El Gallo Estrada, moving back up in weight to 115 pounds, where he previously defeated Carlos Quadras. Let's talk about it, man. Sean,
Yeah.
Teofimo Lopez, Steve Claggett. What do you expect from Teofimo?
Yeah, like you said, let's talk about it. So here comes Tio, man, making his second defense of his WBO slash lineal. These are the fights since the Cambosis fight, right? A fighter that we know that Tio's just far superior. He tends to lay an egg in there, right? Right. That's been the trend. Just seeing Steve Claggett. Like I said, I'm not very familiar with the guy. I was just looking at video. And like I mentioned before we started recording, he's a guy that he don't mind dancing in the mud. He gonna get dirty. He kind of remind me similar to Cambosos and they style, tough guys that want to make it an ugly fight. Now we know if Tio, again, we don't know what Tio we gonna get. Are we gonna get the Tio that's gonna say, you know what? Let me fight his fight so I could give him an opportunity to win. Or is Tio gonna be the Tio that we know he could be, where he's gonna use all his tools on his tool belt, the ability to move, the ability to counter, so the jab, the everything, the whole arsenal, pivoting, showing him angles, moving, getting in and out. The twitch muscles. He listen. If Tio is the Tio that we expect, I think this is gonna be annihilation. But but yo, listen, we gotta call it like it is. What we've been seeing from Tio against these lower opposition is like, yo, bro, what are you doing? Because he couldn't cut off the ring against Jermaine Ortiz. But I don't think that'll be the case in this fight. He won't have to go looking for Claggett. He's gonna come to Tio. So I think that is gonna be much better for Tio. He just gotta beat Tio, man. Once he's coming in, hit him, boom, move him, keep turning him, and just counter punch him and just cook him, man. He's faster, he's stronger, he's just better all around. This shouldn't really be much of a fight, Jose.
I
But
I I absolutely agree.
I expect Teofimo to put on a performance, man. He's due for one against an opponent of this magnitude. And I,
Right.
I think he wins by knockout. And mind you, real quick, Claggett is coming in on a 9-fight win streak. So
And he
this
has a
guy's
high
coming in with confidence. He's
and he
coming
has
in
a
with confidence.
and he has a high knockout ratio as well.
Correct.
He has about 26 KOs or 26
Yeah,
wins and
20,
20 something
24,
KOs.
24 night quills, like
Yeah.
30 something wins.
Yeah.
Seven
So,
seven losses, but only been stopped once. Of his 7 losses, only been stopped once. And that was like in 2019. So it's been a while since he's been stopped. So
look,
he's
look,
tough, but just limited.
look, this is what I'm gonna say about Teofimo Lopez because it's a pattern with him. It's a pattern with him. Expect the unexpected.
Big
Expect to be disappointed. The guy's a roller coaster.
time.
We've been big fans of Teofimo Lopez because of his willingness to constantly fight the best, right? He's proven it, man, challenging himself at a young age against Lomachenko, and then challenging himself going up in weight to fight um, Josh Taylor, who was undefeated and undisputed linearly. I, I'm hearing a lot of shit. I understand. Oh, it's not on record. It's not on record. The bottom line is he beat two guys that were undisputed. Lomachenko at 135 pounds and Josh Taylor at 140. Nobody beat Josh Taylor for those belts, and nobody had beaten Lomachenko for his belts prior to Teofimo beating him. Anyway, whatever. Teofimo Lopez is definitely a roller coaster. We know he has the talent, but I believe that he's plateaued as a fighter. And I believe that he's plateaued as a fighter not because of physical limitations, but because of psychological ones. And the fact that he never changed his corner. I understand helping your dad out. Your dad's been with you all the way. You want him to get that trainer percentage. I understand that. He can still get that. He can still be in the corner. But bring other people in, man. Bring other people in. Learn. I believe he had somebody else in the corner when he fought Lomachenko. And he was using that jab all throughout the fight. I don't know the name of the guy, but they mentioned it in one of the recent telecasts. Steve Claggett, for any of you who don't know him, I don't know too much about him. I saw a little bit of tape on him. He doesn't have great form. He's kind of one of these guys. He reminds me a little bit of Avanesian, the guy that Crawford fought. Tough. He kind of leans over a little bit. He does use his jab a lot. The jab is a very important punch in boxing. He has some sharp punches when he throws, but he has awful form. His balance is too much to he's too top heavy. He's forward a little bit too much. He looks stationary. He doesn't really move his head. He has like a Brandon Rios kind of thing. Like you said, it shouldn't be much of a fight. But with Teofimo Lopez, you never know what to expect, and be careful because this guy can punch. Um, what do I expect in this fight? I expect Tio to be on his regular dumb shit. I believe him. I see him spacing out. I see him doing good, coming out maybe a little hot, um, and then dying off round two, round three, then coming back on, giving Steve Claggett more chances than he should. Um, I don't really know what to expect because it's been too many already. First, you had him beating Lomachenko. Then goes on to defend his title against Kambosos. Loses that. Albeit, he lost clearly. Yes, he almost had Kambosos out of there in the 10th round. Let's not forget that. Uh, then he comes back and he fights. I think he goes
Campos.
up. Who?
Campos.
Yeah, Combo at 140. Tough fighter. Um, shakes some rust off. Looks good. Stops him. After that, he fights
Sandor.
Sandor Martin. A guy that we know can make it ugly for you. He can make your night ugly because he's just stylistically there to not make you look good. That's what he's there for. That's what he's good at. He's good at taking away what you got and making it a difficult night for you. A lot of people thought he lost that fight. He even got dropped by a check left hook by a guy who's not even a big puncher. So there were a lot of questions about him. Then he comes back, beats the shit out of Josh Taylor, like we mentioned, previously undefeated. Then again, he does it again. He goes on and fights. Who does he fight after that?
Jermaine Ortiz.
Jermaine Ortiz. I understand Jermaine was moving a lot, but he was doing it effectively. He was punching. He could have punched a little more, but Teal did absolutely nothing to cut off the ring. That shit had like a circus theme that fight. You remember? And that's what Teal looked like, man. The clown. He just you know how to cut off the ring. You know how to throw a jab. You chose not to do it. Why do you choose not to do it? People ain't gonna fight the fight you want them to. They're not just gonna walk into a punch, right? So you got to do things to make the fight happen on your end. Anyway, it's a roller coaster. It's up and down. So last fight was down. This one should be up. But he's up when he fights the best opposition. When he fights lower opposition like this, we mentioned it. The Sandor Martins. Oh, so we thought he was a little lower. Jermaine Ortiz, he's a B-level fighter. Cambosos, C-level fighter, maybe D, and he don't look good.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't look good in this fight. But then again, he should. So I really don't know what to expect. I am gonna pick him to win, but I'm gonna pick him to win ugly. And another thing, I'm not gonna say it's do or die, but you gotta show me something because his stock If he looks bad, it's gonna go down a lot again. And I don't know what that's gonna mean for him because he's in a tough spot. He's a guy that people don't want to fight when he looks good, and people don't want to fight him when he looks bad either because they're afraid of losing to him because he just looked bad, right? And by that I'm naming the other top fighters around his weight classes, the the Tanks, the Shakurs. They don't really show much interest in fighting him, right? I think Pitbull would fight him no problem. You had Matias out there barking his name. He just lost. He got to get in the back of the line. So he's a guy that people don't want to lose to, but yet, so they don't want to fight him when he looks good because he looks dangerous, and then they don't want to fight him when he looks bad either. And by them, I mean the other top fighters, Haney included. Haney, oh, he ducked Haney. All right, all right, all right. If y'all saying Teofimo duck Haney, y'all believe that. That makes y'all sleep better at night. Go ahead and believe that. Anyway, I got Teofimo Lopez. Late round stoppage, man. Well, honestly, man, I'm gonna pick him by decision, man. I just think he's gonna. I think he's gonna act a fool and he's gonna throw the knockout away and he's gonna give this guy more chances than he should. I don't expect a good performance from him, honestly speaking.
All right. No, that's good, man. Also, we have the return of Robeisy Ramírez. He's going
Oh
to the
man,
main event.
yeah, I don't know how I forgot about that. I don't know how I forgot about that.
Yeah. And I don't really know much about his opponent neither, but I do know that he was at Rafael Espinosa's fight last weekend in the Fountain Blue over in Las Vegas. And people listen, me included. I'm not a big on rematch, but that's a fight that I will have absolutely no problem seeing again
No, that's
because
gotta happen again. That's gotta
those
happen again.
fighters, that was fight of the year
Yeah,
easily to many,
yeah.
and they brought it, man. And Rafael Espinosa, I think now he understands I arrived. Right? That performance last week was I'm here. It wasn't
Hmm.
a fluke what I did to Robeisy. I'm really like that, you know. And who knows? In the rematch, he just cooks Robeisy in a good fight, but like beats him more definitively this time. Right? Probably stops him late because now he's like, okay, I already know, and he's gonna fight the way he fights right? Now, he has flaws. He fights tall, kind of leaves his hands down. He's susceptible to those lefts that come around. But again, he's your typical Mexican fighter. And the tallest featherweight champion in history at 6'1". The dude is Fondora's height. Fondora fights at 154. This dude fights at 126.
Yeah,
This is
unbelievable.
crazy.
I mean, they're like 4 inches apart. This Fundor is like 6'5".
Excuse me. You're right, 6'4". But nonetheless, a 6'1" featherweight, that's
Yeah, yeah,
unheard
that's
of, bro.
yeah,
That
nah, yeah,
that's
that's
just
that's
that's it,
you're a freak of nature.
freak of nature. And the way he fights, man, he's a nightmare matchup for anybody at that weight. It's gonna be. I'm sorry. I will favor nobody against Rafael Espinosa at 126 as long as he's healthy, because eventually that is going to get to him. We saw Navarrete was one of those kind of fighters where at 126, not as tall, but he was big. And it's like, damn, that dude fighting. He was
Uh,
fighting at 122, 122, 126, 130. Now he went for another division at 135, but he lost. The point is this, man. Robeisy is not your typical Cuban fighter, which they call him the Cuban school of boxing, where they just box you to death. You like to bring it up a lot with the Ukrainians. They have an amateur style. Same thing with these Cubans. They have the amateur style. They bring it to the pros, and it's very boring. And I know it's hit and not get hit, but it's also entertainment, man. Come on,
Absolutely,
so.
absolutely.
But Robeisy is not one of those. He brings it. He's one of those new age Cuban fighters where they dare to not play with they fool. And that's what I love about Robeisy. So regardless, he loses or not, anytime he's on TV, I'm going to watch because I know he's going to bring it. And
Nah,
any fighter that brings it, I'm going to watch. I
yeah,
watch anybody.
Yeah, he's definitely an explosive fighter. They're both explosive fighters. Not so explosive for the tall Mexican Espinoza. He has a different kind of power. He's not the explosive guy, but he is sharp and he is strong. And as far as his size and weight, I disagree with it a little bit because I think he's just a freak of nature. I don't think Navarrete is. Navarrete is pudgy. He has no kind of definition. He didn't carry his punch up with his weight, especially at 135. But this Espinosa guy, he's solid, bro. He's muscular. He's tall. He's lean. He's the type of dude that he can eat at the Chinese buffet every day and won't gain 2 pounds. That's just who he is. So that's the same way I look at Fandora. They said Fandora doesn't have to watch what he eats to make weight. He has breakfast. He has a pancakes, eggs, bacon, ice cream after it, and he makes weight. That's just he physically. That's just the way he is. He probably can't go up in weight. If he goes up in weight, he'll get hurt because he'll give up his advantage in size. He's not there because he's sucking himself dry. He just one of them dudes that was always gonna be skinny, bony. It's just there's people that's born to be fat. There's people that's born to be skinny. And some people are able to be athletic and skinny. In the case of uh, that's like
Espinosa.
saying that's like Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg, 50 something years old. He been looking the same weight since he was 16. That's just the way they are. He built that way. So that's what I believe is Espinosa's case. Now rematch, yes, I would love to see it, but I think it's good that they have at least 2 fights in between that because it was a tough fight and a fight that can shorten your career. Plus, what's the end goal in this, or one of the end goals, apart from being great, is making money. So they're gonna make money when they fight each other. So they're gonna make a little more money right before they fight each other. It's gonna make the fight bigger, right? So the fact that Espinosa just had a fight, Robeisy just had a fight, maybe if they can squeeze one more in, you know, I like that. If they fighting next, whatever, I'll take it. But I would like to see them squeeze one more in. As far as Robeisy, he's no stranger to losing. I think he lost his first professional fight or his second, and then he
First,
came back,
his
right?
first
And then he came back.
ain't
So
won.
that shows you he's not on Devin Haney time.
Yeah,
He on the kind of time I lost. Ah, shit, I gotta come back. He came back. He continued with his career, and guess what? Became a champion. He became a great fighter. He's one of the best fighters in his division. He ain't looking at that loss, and he ain't even looking at his last loss against Espinoza. In fact, what he wants to is to vindicate. He wants that rematch. He wants to go through hell again. Why? Why? Because he's a real fighter. He's a real fighter. And that's what we want to see. That's the kind of attitude that we want. That's what we watch the sport for, man. Bottom line, period. I didn't hear Arguello crying with the when Aaron Pryor beat shit out of him and they was talking about what they gave
or
him
the
in the
water,
corner.
the
Yeah, the
special
water.
water.
Give me the one I mix. Give me the one I mix. You know. And I want you guys to go and watch that fight, part one or part two. Unbelievable fight. Those guys, the errors are uncomparable,
Yeah,
incomparable. You can't compare what those guys were doing at the skill level, with the speed, with the power, with the risk taking, and it was just unbelievable. Anyway, um, Robeisy Ramírez, like you said, you didn't really mention his opponent. I believe he's fighting a Mexican fighter. I don't know too much about him as well, either. I hear he has some punching power. Let's see how that fight goes. But absolutely, you know, there's must see TV guys, and one of those must see TV guys you mentioned to you is Rubezi's one of them. To me, absolutely Espinoza, but that's what I wanted to mention a few minutes ago. He's a must see TV. Tank Davis, must see TV. Right? There's a few fighters in boxing. Virgil Ortiz Jr. must see TV. Artur Beterbiev must see TV. The last two I mentioned are 21 and 0, 21 knockouts, perfect records. You're not talking about knockouts and home runs. They're knocking everybody out. You know, Tank Davis, you know what he brings to the table. And Espinoza, he already showing you what he brings, and that is he's ready to give it all in the ring, heart, chin, power, and he can fight. And he has technique. He is your typical Mexican fighter, come forward pressure fighter, but he does have technique. He's
he
not.
does.
Yeah, yeah. He's not.
He knows
Uh,
for a tall fighter, he knows how to fight on the inside as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah,
So that's what makes him scary, man.
yeah.
Because he could use length and he could beat you from the outside and the inside. And
And,
he has a chin. So good luck with that.
and it's
Good
and
luck with that.
it's crazy because they were talking about Nick Ball, him being in that weight class. But
No.
imagine Nick Ball was five
Yeah,
two
yeah,
versus
yeah.
6'1".
I said
That
Tom and Jerry. I said I didn't look
the
like Tom and Jerry.
now
I didn't
that'll
look like
be
Tom and Jerry fighting with
they
each
should
other.
they should throw a ladder into that fight and make it legal. And I think it would be okay to throw a little ladder in there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's taking place, by the way, in Miami. That's gonna be in Miami. So I think the atmosphere is gonna be good. You know, a lot of Cubans. Miami's a heavy Hispanic city in
yeah,
Florida.
predominantly Cuban,
Yeah,
predominantly Cuban.
predominantly,
Yeah,
but it's still a mix, but definitely
yeah, absolutely,
predominantly Cuban.
absolutely.
So it's gonna be rocking, man. I expect the atmosphere to be good in there. I don't know the name of the venue they fight in at, but I know it's Miami
That
for sure.
that's something that they should have been doing. I remember when they used to have Gamboa going around the country fighting. I'm like, why the fuck do they have? Just for let them have all the Cubans in Miami. Let them fight in Miami. I guess they finally caught on to that. And look, you getting results, but whatever. Now, uh, man, I forgot what I was gonna say. This weekend, Rubazy. Um, oh no, you talked about 126 pounds. You don't favor anybody to beat Espinoza, but I'll tell you what, man. I think the big fight, apart from the Robeisy rematch,
I already know who you
is
gonna say.
El Venado Lopez versus Robeisy Ramírez. An all-out Mexican unification. Sign me up for that. That's another guy that's must see TV because he's exciting. He's unorthodox. He's dynamic. He's quirky in the ring, but he's
Yeah,
effective. And he
yeah,
can punch and he's
yes,
tough.
yes.
And it's just I would love to see those two fight. I would love to see him fight Rubaisi as well. Um, but I would like to see more Rubaisi. I'm sorry, Espinoza versus Evanada Lopez. I think that's a super entertaining fight, and it's going to do numbers. Mexican people going to be in the building, all Mexican affair. So let's see.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
be careful, be careful, because that guy he's that ace, man. He's the he's the wild card, Evanada Lopez. He might
yeah,
be an underdog against one of these two, but I don't really know if he should be because he he's proven that it looks easier than it is fighting him. He's
yeah, yeah.
definitely
I think from all right. So the four champions at 126, like you mentioned, Nick Ball, Rafael Espinoza, El Venado, and another Mexican, Ray Vargas. Right. So of the four champions, three are Mexican. Yes, I think Ray Vargas is the weakest link of the four. Many felt Nick Ball pulled that fight off, but it was a draw. Someone's gonna get Ray Vargas out of there without a doubt. El Venado and Espinoza might be marinating to be one of the bigger fights in boxing down the line, right? It all depends what happens with Robeisy. He has to win Saturday first before we can even talk about rematch. If he wins and he wins in fanatic fashion, then even more so, we're gonna
well
want to see.
whatever
Yeah,
fashion he wins in, they're gonna put
yeah,
him in there against
correct. So I
Espinoza.
listen, man. You can't say no to a fight like that. So
And
yes,
and again, this is one of those divisions where what happens, Sean? Everybody fights each other. It's one of those divisions. Once you move from 126 and down, everybody fighting each other. And speaking about everybody fighting each other and somebody fighting everybody, Jesse Bam Rodriguez moving
man,
back up in weight,
man, oh man.
moving back up in weight, man. You talking about a purest dream. Usually that means something boring. In the case of Jesse Bam Rodriguez, no, because he's a knockout puncher. He's a knockout fighter. So he has the skill to pay the bills and the power to put you out. So you don't want you why would you want a better combination than that? He's gonna fight another tremendous fighter who at
Future
his
Hall of Famer. Future
who
Hall of Famer.
who at his peak was pound for pound, definitely top 10 pound for pound, considered by many people like I think it was Juan Manuel Marquez and Nacho Bernstein, the best Mexican fighter, the best Mexican fighter while he was fighting. They look, they skill for skill, skill for skill. When he was in his prime, I think he probably was the best Mexican fighter in the world. Not Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is the most popular fighter, but
Yeah.
all around skill, El Gallo Estrada is different. Now he's been somewhat inactive. When was his last fight, or who did he fight last?
That's a good question. Let me see. I didn't look it up, but he's been inactive. He hasn't been. I believe it might have been he fought a fight after Chocolatito trilogy. So Chocolatito, December 2022.
Man, that's a while ago.
Yeah, so he's
Yeah,
going
that's
he's
that's a while ago. That's a
so
while ago.
he's going on 2 years. And
That's a
December
while
will be
ago.
2 years. So it's been a year and a half to be exact. A year and a
Yes,
half since he's been in the ring. Activity matters,
I
especially at that
let me
age.
break my fault. Yeah, let me go into breaking that one down
Oh, go
first.
ahead, go ahead.
I'm gonna go first on that one. Yeah, you just mentioned inactivity plus 34 years of age at that division. That's not a good recipe. And if you want to throw another ingredient into that mix, time on a long layoff, 34 years old at 115 pounds, and you're fighting one of the hottest champions, one of the best talents, one of the most active champions in boxing. That's definitely an ingredients that spell disaster. And Estrada's so good that we still have him as a very, very live dog. I mean, it's almost like a 50-50 fight. I would have to say maybe 55-45, giving Bam the edge because he has fought at 115 and he has looked good and he's just looking great and he's young. He's in his prime.
Yeah.
So, um, I think it's gonna be a fantastic fight, but I do think that the time off will definitely hurt Gallo Estrada, and I think he is at the end of his career. Not the bad end, but he is entering that later stage of his career. And this kid is just gonna be too young, too strong. Can he prove us wrong? Yes, but I think that um, Jesse Bam Rodriguez will show superior skill, superior will, power, and that youth. And I think he will overcome a very game Estrada, who's going to have some good rounds, land some good punches. But I believe he's going to stop Estrada anywhere from mid to late rounds.
Okay. All right. Hey, those are possible, man. So let's also be clear, right? Bam is moving up again, right? I believe he fought Quadras at 115.
Yeah,
So, Bam is a little guy. Let's also, put that into account. I mean, they all little at that weight, regardless. But you understand what I'm saying.
but he is a very small man. Yeah,
He's even smaller than Gallo, right?
yeah, I think
Now,
so. Yeah,
Gallo, he's 40.
physically,
He's 44-3, 28 night quills. His
animal.
of his three law, the third loss, I don't know who's the guy who gave him his first loss. But we know he lost to Roman Gonzalez via decision,
Chocolatito.
and he lost to the Rat King. What's Ragan Visai? How you uh, Ra-
No. He beat Rumvisai.
no, they fought twice. He beat Estrada the first fight, and then Estrada beat him in the rematch.
Yeah, he schooled him in a rematch.
No, he won. They fought. Trust me, he beat. So of his two losses, he avenged them, right? He avenged those losses. Bam, as far as common opponents, he stopped Ruggan V side, and he cooked the Rat King. I think in this fight, Juan Francisco is gonna try to take Bam into deep waters. I think he understands that to me it has to be a mix. He has to bang and he has to box because Bam is just too good to beat him doing one thing only, right? You have to do multiple things to beat someone like Bam. But I think he's gonna test his will, and I'm gonna tell you, if Estrada is able to take his punch, it's gonna get really interesting. Cause Gallo, he reminds me of a small Marquez, very good counter puncher. He let his hands go. He's tough. He's tough. He could fight for 12 rounds at that pace. But the age, again, like we said, the inactivity, those matter. That matters. And Bam is, without a doubt, arguably the best fighter in boxing, pound for pound.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think with that monster, I think the youth and just being where they at in their career, I just think Bam will have a little bit more in his tank to get the win. I don't think it's going to be a stoppage. My goodness, if he stops Estrada, no one has ever stopped Estrada. If he goes in there and stops at Gallo, man, I'm putting him number one pound for pound, regardless of the win. I could put him there, but someone to do that to a legend. This is a Mexican legend we're talking about. We're talking about a future Hall of Famer. Gallo's a future Hall of Famer. He's going to go down as probably top 15 greatest Mexican fighters of all time. And he's still got some in the tank. And he's a current world champion. So let's not act like, oh, but he no.
And
His last
he's the bigger fighter.
correct. And um, you know, Bam had Chocolatito in his camp. I don't know
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you saw the
Yeah. Yeah.
message that was
Yeah.
sent by Virgil. He said, "Man, I just saw one of the greatest sparring sessions that I've ever seen in my life between Bam
Wow.
and Choco. Shit,
Wow.
we wish we was a fly on that wall, right? Just to witness that. But regardless, man, this is like you said, this is the fight of the night, hands down. I don't think no one is gonna debate that. But like I said on this show, I said on my other show, I said on my regular videos, if you're not watching these smaller weight classes, I don't want to hear you a boxing fan. You are a hardcore casual. That's what you are. Because these guys' skill set is off the wall. Bam could do anything your favorite fighter could do and probably better.
Yeah.
So how would you not want to see that? Because he weighs 115? Come on, that's stupid. It's just ridiculous. But my prediction, man, I'm really on the fence on this fight, man. Because I think Estrada's he's coming, but it's Bam is he just got that special in him. He got that glow, man. It's just certain fighters got that glow, and right now Bam has that. I think he pulls it off. Tough fight, man. I could see them dropping each other. I could see both of them dropping each other one time each. I'm gonna go Bam by split decision, man, to get that strap at 115.
I think that is very likely, to show Estrada, to give him his respect. It is a smart thing to pick Bam by decision. But I just believe that he is that special, and he's the kind of guy, he don't play with his food. He goes for the kill. So I think that if he finds it, and he will go for it, and he will, you know, press the gas and try to get that, especially being that he's fighting this kind of opposition. He really likes to shine in his toughest tests. Anyway, man, that's it for this week, man. And remember, um, you know, we gonna do a post fight show. Are you trying to do a post fight show?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna have my son.
No, bro.
Shanito be here, so be difficult. But let's see what it is. I mean,
Even
if
if, even if it's 5 minutes, man. Even if it's
yeah,
five
yeah, yeah.
minutes,
No, no.
we,
We
we
can't
might
do
do a,
five.
yeah,
We
we
could
might,
do it. I mean, we could cook. We could definitely cook, even if I
yeah,
gotta go outside,
yeah.
whatever.
It's
But
5 minutes, yeah. Just give the
also
people what
real
they want.
quick before we wrap it up, we also tune in. Pro Box Lamont Roach makes his first defense. Um, Also on
McCrory, he's fighting McCrory.
yeah,
I think a dude from the UK is like 16-0.
yeah. There's also overtime boxing. Elijah Pierce was supposed to be the main event. Just sent out a message today that he's not feeling well, so he won't be fighting. But I believe the card will go on. I believe also Fernando Vargas Jr. also fights tomorrow as well. Be on the lookout for him on the zone. And Sonny Edwards makes his return on the Bam card, which was which his last fight was against Bam in a hell of a fight.
Very
So
entertaining fighter.
so expect Sonny Edwards to do what he do. So a lot of boxing this weekend, a lot of exciting fights, man. I just can't wait, man, and can't wait to do the post fight.
Unfortunately, again, boxing does it to itself and puts a lot of these things on at the same time. So, hopefully you guys have some of the streaming services where you can go back and watch it on demand after it happens. And boxing, please stop doing this. We don't get fights every weekend. So why try to, when you make good fights, put them all in one weekend? Like, come on. I don't understand it, and I don't think that benefits you or us. You, the people selling us the fights, and us consuming it, because we can't consume all of them, right? At least not at the same time. And let's say you want to go to the fights, you can't be at both at the same time. So anyway, man, that's been another episode of Boxing Roundtable. You already know. Share, like, subscribe. Don't forget that. And we out.
One.